Madeleine McCann's disappearance was already terrifying, but nothing could have prepared me for the new evidence they just released. I mean, imagine your 3-year-old child goes missing while on vacation in a different country. She disappears from her bed in the middle of the night while you and your friends are at dinner nearby. So many witnesses come forward claiming to have seen a man carrying a small child resembling yours away from her bedroom. So you think it'll only be a matter of time before she's found and he's caught. But then that doesn't happen, and days turn into weeks, which then turn into nearly 2 decades, and she is still missing. So we know that's what happened to Madeleine, and there is a primary suspect in her case now. But police just found some disturbing evidence on his abandoned property, including kids' toys, 75 swimsuits belonging to little girls, masks, and 6 USB sticks and hard drives, which reportedly contain disturbing photos and evidence suggesting Madeleine is dead. This is one case that has left such a huge, gut-wrenching impact on me, and it is still technically unsolved, so let's talk about it. Madeleine McCann was 3 years old when she mysteriously disappeared on May 3rd, 2007. Her mom and dad, Kate and Jerry, both highly skilled doctors and cardiologists, married in 1998. And in 2003, they had Madeleine. Then they welcomed twins, a boy and a girl, in 2005, which Madeleine was so excited about. On April 28th, 2007, the McCann family, along with 7 of their close friends and their children, went to Praia da Luz, Portugal for a 7-night spring break trip. They all stayed in a group of local apartments known as the Waterside Village, the McCanns in apartment 5A, and the rest kind of scattered around them. It was a nice little 2-bedroom ground floor apartment that lay on the same property as the very popular Ocean Club Resort. They specifically chose this apartment/location because almost every night of their trip, Jerry and Kate, along with their friends, would often eat dinner at the tapas restaurant in the resort while their kids slept unattended back at the apartments. From the restaurant, you could basically see the top half of the apartments, so the adults thought that it was safe enough to leave the kids alone while they dined at the nearby restaurant. In addition to being close to the resort, which was about 180 feet away, the McCanns reportedly always kept the front door locked, which was right next to their kid's bedroom. Madeleine and her younger siblings all shared a room, with Madeleine being on her own bed and the twins in a cot in the middle of the room. The bedroom also only had one waist-high window with curtains and a metal exterior shutter that could only be opened from the inside, and the McCanns kept this shut during their entire trip. Madeleine slept opposite to this window. So with all of these precautions in place, they felt safe enough to leave Madeleine and the twins sleeping in their beds while they went out to eat. This brings us to May 3rd, 2007. The day started out great like usual. The kids went to the resort's daycare, then they all met up for lunch and a swim in the pool. This is the last photo ever taken of 3-year-old Madeleine, as she would disappear later that night. Kate and Jerry put the kids to bed around 7 that night. They recalled Madeleine sleeping peacefully in her light pink Eeyore pajamas with her favorite blanket and stuffed animal. At around 8:30 p.m., Kate and Jerry left the apartment to go eat dinner at the resort's tapas restaurant with their friends. Like I said, they felt safe leaving the kids alone because it was a pretty short walk, and you could see part of the apartments from the restaurant, but you couldn't see the front door. And although generally speaking it was a close walk, you still had to walk along a narrow public street just to reach the doors of the Ocean Club Resort. And then you had to walk through the resort to the other side of the pool just to get to the restaurant. So really, it wasn't a straightforward walk. For the last 4 nights of their trip, the resort staff had reserved the same table at the same time for the McCanns and their friends. And they left a note to make sure this happened, saying they all had their kids sleeping alone in the apartments, which is kind of scary if you think about it, because anybody could see that. Jerry and Kate and the rest of their friends would all take turns checking on their kids every 30 minutes. And to make it easy, they left the sliding glass patio doors unlocked with the curtains drawn so that they could sneak in without waking them up. The first check was from Jerry at 9:05 p.m., and he said Madeleine and the twins were sleeping just fine. But initially, he had left their bedroom door almost all the way closed, but now it was wide open for some reason. Before he left, he cracked it once again and then went back to the restaurant. At around 9:30 p.m., it was Kate's turn to check on her kids, but one of their friends named Matthew offered to do it for her since he also had to go and check on his. Matthew noticed when checking on the McCann's kids that their bedroom door was once again wide open, but he didn't hear them. So without fully checking to see if they were okay and in their beds, he just cracked the door and left. Then 10 p.m. hits, and this is when Kate goes to check. Kate also went through the unlocked sliding glass door, and she also noticed that the bedroom door was wide open. But when she went to close it, it slammed shut because of a breeze. When she opened it, she realized that the window in the kids' bedroom was now open, and Madeleine was gone. The twins were still sound asleep in their beds, and Madeleine's blanket and stuffy were still on her bed, but she was nowhere to be found. Kate then ran back to the restaurant screaming, quote, "Madeleine is gone. Someone's taken her." End quote. Within 30 minutes, police were notified, and the resort had activated its missing child search protocol. For several hours, volunteers and the resort staff searched, along with police, but it was like Madeleine vanished into thin air. At first, it was assumed that maybe she just wandered off, but it soon became clear that that was not the case. There were so many people searching for Madeleine that it didn't matter where you were in the village, you could hear her name being called. The search was intense, and it involved police bringing in tracking dogs and searching waterways, wells, caves, sewers, and the ruins around Praia da Luz, but still nothing was found. Then one of the McCann's friends came forward and reported seeing a suspicious man about 45 minutes before Madeleine disappeared, and it was this sighting that really changed the direction of this investigation. So on the night of Madeleine's disappearance, one of the family's friends named Jane Tanner took her turn to go and check on her child just after 9 p.m. On her way back to the restaurant 15 minutes later, she recalled seeing a man carrying a child walk in front of her, and it looked like he came from the front of apartment 5A, not far from Madeleine's bedroom. It didn't register at the time, but the child looked similar to Madeleine, and she was wearing similar looking PJs. Jane described this man as having a European or Mediterranean appearance, dark hair, about 5'7", and looked to be about 35 or 40 years old. She said this man did not look like a tourist. This sighting became known as the Tanner sighting, and this gave police at least a timeline of Madeleine's disappearance. Ultimately though, the Portuguese police deemed this sighting as a red herring, and they concluded that the man Jane saw was likely just another tourist also on vacation, who had picked up his child from the resort's nighttime daycare. I guess this man's daughter also had similar PJs as Madeleine, and after mimicking the same pose with the same type of outfit, authorities stated they're almost certain that this sighting was not related to her abduction. After this though, another possible sighting was reported, which did hold some weight. This became known as the Smith sighting after the last name of the couple who reported it. At around 10 p.m., the couple reported seeing a man about 500 yards from apartment 5A carrying a little girl who they thought was around 3 or 4 years old. She looked strikingly similar to Madeleine, and this man was carrying her towards the beach. This man looked to be in his 30s, around a 5'7" with a slim build, had short brown hair, and again did not look like a tourist. The couple said this man seemed uncomfortable carrying this child, like she wasn't his. So police then started questioning if this was a planned abduction, or possibly a burglary gone wrong. Apartment 5A was accessible to the public from two sides, one being the sliding glass door that was left unlocked, which anyone from the public street could walk into. All you had to do was open a small gate and walk up a set of stairs to get into the living room. The other was the front door, which was supposedly locked, and there were no signs of forced entry. The window in Madeleine's bedroom was a point of contention because it could only be opened from the inside, and again, there were no signs of forced entry there either. But the window did overlook the walkway and parking lot, which was separated from the street by a low wall. Anyone off the street could walk back there. There were a lot of odd sightings of sketchy men kind of casing the house, and in the weeks leading up to Madeleine's disappearance, the neighborhood experienced a lot of burglaries, and on top of this, that exact apartment, 5A, had been broken into before, with the most recent being the guest that rented it right before the McCanns. So this was a real possibility that Madeleine was a victim of a planned abduction. But then the Portuguese police started looking at Jerry and Kate, Madeleine's parents, and this was for a few reasons. Their stories had a lot of inconsistencies in the beginning, including their friends' accounts of what happened. One question was why Kate felt comfortable leaving her twins alone after discovering Madeleine had been kidnapped, instead of just calling for help. Police then brought in sniffer dogs to search apartment 5A. When they searched the apartment, the dogs alerted to an area behind the sofa in the living room, the closet in the main bedroom, on Madeleine's stuffy, and on some of Kate's clothes. Then the sniffer dogs were taken to a parking lot with about 30 cars, including the McCann's car that they had rented 25 days after her disappearance. Dogs then alerted to the outside of the McCann's car by the driver's side door, and again in the trunk. Forensic tests then found traces of Madeleine's blood and hair in the trunk, and because of this, they were listed as possible suspects. Authorities initially believed that Madeleine accidentally died in the apartment, and they believed that her parents sedated her to get her to sleep through the night, but gave her too much medicine, which killed her. They kind of used Kate's job as a doctor with a background in anesthetics to fuel this theory. They then suspected that they hid her body for a month before officially disposing of it with the rental car, but ultimately there wasn't any additional evidence linking her parents to the crime, and eventually they were cleared. Over the years, there have been many people of interest, but sadly her case would fall cold. Then in 2020, a new primary suspect was named, Christian Breckner. He is a 48-year-old convicted SEX offender who was in the area when Madeleine disappeared. He is currently in prison on an unrelated SA charge, but he has a lengthy criminal history dating back to when he was 15 years old. mostly involving children. In 2016, police searched an abandoned factory on one of his properties, and they've just released what they found. They discovered a hard drive containing disturbing messages, including a Skype chat where he said he wanted to, quote, capture something small and use it for days. End quote. Then police found 75 little girl swimsuits, kids' toys, chemicals, and most disturbing of all, they found 6 USB hard drives and memory cards which showed horrible photos of child abuse. They found these hard drives buried underneath his deceased dog, and one of the hard drives contained evidence that suggests Madeleine is dead. What exactly it showed has not been confirmed, but it doesn't look good. Christian reportedly even confessed and bragged about abducting Madeleine, saying she didn't even scream. Phone records place him in the area when she disappeared. And what's incredibly disturbing is that just 2 years before Madeleine went missing, he SA'd a 75-year-old woman in the exact same town where Madeleine disappeared. He was convicted of that in 2019 and is serving a 7-year sentence, but he's expected to be released in September of this year. As of right now, he's still the primary and only suspect in this case, and authorities did find some pretty damning evidence, but apparently not enough, because as of today, he has yet to be charged in connection to Madeleine's disappearance. Although we don't know what exactly happened to her, police believe that she is likely dead and that Christian Bruckner is somehow responsible. This case gained national attention and is the most heavily reported missing person case in modern history. And even so, Madeleine is still missing. It's crazy to me that in a 30-minute time frame, someone took her and made her disappear forever. How in just 30 minutes on what should have been a fun family vacation, the McCann's world forever changed. But it's now been 18 years, and whatever happened to Madeleine that summer night remains a mystery.
We finally know what happened to Madeleine McCann. She was just 3 years old when she vanished from her family's vacation apartment in Portugal. Her parents were having dinner at a restaurant nearby while she and her siblings were sleeping inside. Around 10 p.m., her parents returned to check on her, and Madeleine's bed was empty. There was no sign of struggle, there were no signs of forced entry. She was just gone. And this is every parent's absolute worst nightmare. It started one of the biggest missing child investigations ever, and media from all around the world was swarming around this resort town. Over the years, there were multiple suspects, conspiracy theories, even false sightings, but there was no confirmed trace of Madeleine ever found. This week, we have an absolutely chilling new update in this case, and this is the closest we've ever gotten to the truth. And this might be one of those cases where knowing the truth might be worse. Now, German prosecutors are saying that a hard drive was found in a factory owned by the prime suspect in this case, named Christian Bruckner, sorry if I said that wrong, and it contains evidence of her passing. This drive was found all the way back in 2016, but it's only now being connected to Madeleine's case. And this drive was hidden with children's clothes, toys, masks, pew-pews, and other disturbing items I cannot say. Police also found Skype conversations where this man allegedly talked disturbingly about wanting to take something small and keep it for days. Investigators say an insurance document places him at a music festival where he once confessed to ending Madeleine. And the confession was always questioned, but this new evidence backs it up. I will let you know when we get the next update. More true crime is over here.
The sister of Madeleine McCann has spoken out for the first time. 18-year-old Emily McCann attended a vigil to mark the 16th anniversary of the disappearance of her sister. In her first ever public appearance, she addressed the crowd saying, "It's nice that everyone is here together, but it's a sad occasion." She also joined in with prayers and chants to never ever give up and leave no stone unturned until Maddie is found. Emily attended the event with her parents Kate and Jerry McCann, but her twin brother Sean was not present. The teenager, who will be attending university soon, lit a candle for her sister.
Another woman is now claiming she believes she's Madeleine McCann. However, for some reason, I feel like we've been here before and history is repeating itself. The girl's name is Florence Harrington. In her original post, this is all the details she's claimed so far. And has claimed that her birthday is the same date as Madeleine's, including the same year. It would be May the 12th, 2003. Also claims that she cannot remember much of her childhood and that she is adopted. The most interesting part is that she has the same eye marking which Madeleine had the day she disappeared. With any case like this where someone is claiming to be someone that's missing, it's important to approach it with caution and skepticism. Yes, there may be some details that are similar between the two people, such as sharing a birthday and the distinctive eye feature. That these alone aren't enough to confirm an identity. Also important to consider Florence's motives. There has been a case before where someone has pretended to be Madeleine McCann, and it was all a plea for help. Let me know your thoughts on this below. Do you believe that we found the real Madeleine McCann? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to drop me a follow.
How does a 3-year-old disappear from her bed while her parents are literally right across the street, literally feet away, and to this day, it doesn't make any sense? It's 2007, Madeleine's on vacation with her family in Portugal, and they're staying in this really cozy little holiday apartment resort. The kids are sleeping inside, and the adults are at a bar having dinner right across the hotel. They claim they were checking on the kids every 30 minutes on rotation. At 10 p.m., it's Kate's turn. She walks back to the hotel. Everything looks fine until she steps inside. The door to the kids' room, it's weirdly cracked open, and as she walks closer, a breeze slams it shut. The window is wide open, the shutters are up, and Madeleine is gone. No screams, no broken glass, no forced entry, just vanished. The only potential clue that they had was super sketchy. A family friend named Jane said that she had seen a man walking down the road earlier, carrying a child, and the way that he was holding them, she said it looked suspicious as like the kid was completely knocked out, but that's all they had to go on. The case explodes overnight. International alerts, helicopters, breaking news everywhere. Kate is on TV clutching Madeleine's favorite stuffed animal, the cuddle cat, and that becomes the heartbreaking image everyone remembers. And at this point, the world's thinking she was abducted by some psycho. But then that theory completely flips. Out of nowhere, the Portugal police turned their attention on the parents themselves. Kate and Jerry become official suspects because cadaver dogs went crazy over the sense of blood all around them. Not just once, 13 times to be specific. Inside the hotel, in the trunk of their rental car, on Kate's clothes, even the cuddle cat. But here's the thing that makes no sense. There was never any actual physical evidence found. No blood, no body, nothing concrete, and there could be many reasons why those dogs reacted that way. But that alone split the world in two. Either these are devastated parents getting absolutely dragged by the media, or there's something super shady going on that no one has been able to prove. Eventually, the case just goes cold. Kate and Jerry are officially cleared, but the damage is done. Their public image was destroyed, and to this day, people still side-eye them. Fast forward to 2020, a new name explodes in the headline: Christian Bruckner, a convicted SA predator living in this creepy van in the same area at the exact same time Madeleine vanished. He allegedly bragged to someone at a bar that he did it. Phone records placed him right there that very same night, but even with all that, no charges, no resolution. So here we are, years later, zero answers. Madeleine could have been abducted, she could have wandered off, or something way darker involving her own parents. We still don't know. All we have is a timeline full of questions and two parents either desperately searching for their daughter or hiding something that the world has not been able to prove yet. If you're still here, thank you, seriously. You're not just watching, you are the reason why these cases are still remembered. You guys are like my crime solving besties, and I love you all for that. Group hug, take care of yourself, and I will see you in my next video.
Madeleine McCann disappeared nearly 20 years ago. Her disappearance has been the most highly reported missing persons case and continues to have people talking to this day. Her disappearance has also been my most highly suggested case to cover since I started posting true crime. I'm going to briefly go over the details that led to Madeleine's disappearance and then go over the most widely believed theories. Madeleine was 3 years old when she vanished on vacation in Portugal in 2007 with her family and her parents' friends. Madeleine's parents, as well as the other adults, would spend every evening at a local bar only checking on the children every half hour, leaving the McCanns' 3 children, who were all under the age of 4, alone for most of the night in a foreign country. During one of these 30-minute increments that Madeleine vanished. Cadaver dogs alerted to the couch in the McCann's room, as well as the closet in the master bedroom and the McCann's rental car. Despite this and other strange things that her parents did after her disappearance, her parents were cleared of any suspicion. I am not 100% sure which theory I believe now, but for a long time, I thought Madeleine was taken as a part of a dirty adoption organization. In my mind, if someone wanted to take Madeleine and had been watching the family, they would know about the 30 minutes that she would be left alone. But there is very little evidence that supports this theory other than some reported sightings of Madeleine. During my research, I did find evidence of illegal international adoptions going on in 2007, as well as in Portugal and surrounding countries. And I would be willing to do a deep dive on that theory if that would be something people are interested in. With everything going on in the media about Epstein, I feel like people really want to link him to other cases. In my video about JonBenet Ramsey, I had a lot of comments of people asking if there was any connections between Epstein and Madeleine. The only things I could find online is that Jeffrey and Maxwell may have attended a benefit concert for Madeleine, as well as a sketch of a person in interest in Madeleine's disappearance that some say resembles Maxwell. Recently, a new main suspect has emerged in the disappearance of Madeleine. Known child P. Christian Brutnecker was said to be in the same area at the same time as Madeleine's disappearance. He also reportedly confessed to one of his friends but has since claimed his innocence. Investigators seem very confident with his involvement, but most of their evidence is still not known to the public. There's a theory that I covered that you want more details on, or perhaps a theory I didn't bring up at all, let me know in the comments. If you have already suggested a case for me to do, just know that I have seen it and I do have them written down. A lot of the cases that have been suggested I'm not already aware of, so I want to do proper research before making a video. Please continue to let me know what case you want me to cover next, as well as what you think happened to Madeleine in the comments.
The new Madeleine McCann search has ended after 3 days, but now it is also being reported that there may be a new tip coming to light. In case you missed it, a renewed search for Madeleine McCann or anything related to her case has been happening this week in Portugal. While we don't know too much about the search, we do know that diggers and specialist equipment were brought in to help scour scrubland and abandoned buildings between where Madeleine disappeared from and a residence known to formerly be occupied by the prime suspect, Christian Bruckner. Police were seen combing land in the area of the outskirts of Lagos, digging up the undergrowth and scouring the entire area. A digger was also used to remove rubble from one of the abandoned structures at the site of the search. But the search is now over. The only thing reported to have been found from the search is animal bones, but authorities have not said if anything else of significance was found. But now it is being reported that a tip that came in 7 years ago was never followed up on. Now, this has not been confirmed by authorities, but here is what is being said. Allegedly in 2018, a British woman went to police in the UK to say she suspected her brother had been involved in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. The allegation is that a British man, her brother, and his German wife were drinking near the Ocean Club on the night Madeleine went missing. And allegedly, the woman, a German woman, hit Madeleine in a drunk driving accident, and then the couple took her body and disposed of her in the ocean. The woman who called in this tip allegedly said that her brother was an alcoholic, and since the day Madeleine vanished, he had appeared to hide a painful secret. The report says, quote, when British police exchanged information with the PJ, the Portugal police, a coincidence was discovered. On May 4th, 2007, a woman told police she had heard her neighbors arguing. They were both alcoholics, he was English and she was German, and she heard the man shouting repeatedly, "Why did you bring her here?" The neighbor discovered afterwards it was the man whose sister had reported him to police. He was married to a woman who had been drinking in a cafe next to the Ocean Club where Madeleine disappeared from. Another report the police had indicated that in an identical car to the one the woman was then using around the time of Madeleine's disappearance, a female and young girl had been seen driving inside. So reportedly, this woman told this information to police in 2018, and police in the UK went to the Portuguese police. The man has since passed away, but Portuguese officers allegedly received a tip about a British man who was covering up a dark secret about his German wife running over Madeleine while drunk and then hiding the body. But allegedly, German authorities rejected a Portuguese request to use an undercover police officer to try to befriend the wife, the German woman, and get her to admit to something. Now, this couple has not been identified, and like I said, this is all alleged. This tip has not even been confirmed by police. But it is a very interesting theory, and it could explain why Madeleine McCann's body has never been found. But then, of course, there is the theory that Christian Bruckner was involved, and police are frantically trying to find any evidence to connect him so they can actually charge him before he is released from prison from the current sentence he is serving, which is going to happen later this year, and as of yet, he has not been charged with Madeleine's disappearance or believed murder.
So here are 9 theories that I was able to kind of filter and condense based off of research that I did, but please add more if you think there are more. Number 1, of course, is the sex trafficking theory that she was kidnapped and sold into sex slavery. Number 2, same scenario, but the McCanns are the ones that sold her. Number 3 is the drug overdose theory that I mentioned earlier. Number 4 is that there was a Portuguese predator in the area. That's kind of similar to 1 and 2, but number 5 is that she was taken by a childless couple. Number 6 is maybe she was found immediately, but they continued to roll with it for the attention. Number 7 is the tourism theory, that maybe this was all planted just so they would get people to stop coming to Praia da Luz. Number 8 is that Madeleine actually wandered out on her own, and she got lost or maybe died after just leaving the apartment herself. And then this last one, number 9, I couldn't believe this. There's even a theory, number 9, that Madeleine didn't exist at all. That's wild. In the next part, I'll talk about updates in the case, but please tell me which one of these is more plausible. For example, Madeleine's younger siblings, the twins, they seem to sleep right through this quote-unquote abduction. There was an ongoing theory for a while that I wholeheartedly believed that because the parents wanted to have a nice night out, they actually gave all of their children sleeping medication. And the theory was that they accidentally gave Madeleine too much, accidentally killing her, and then Kate and Gary McCann getting rid of her body. Also, back to the beginning when I had mentioned what happened when Kate realized that Madeleine was missing, she ran back to the table saying they have taken her, almost setting up a scene already, claiming it was somebody else's fault. Also, now let's bring all of our attention to these very hardworking pups. This is Eddie and Keela, who are going to help this investigation quite a bit. Eddie was the enhanced victim recovery dog, or also known as cadaver dog. Keela was our CSI dog. Both dogs alerted behind the sofa in 5A. Eddie alerted to the closet in the master bedroom. No alerts on the beach. Eddie alerted at Madeleine's cuddle cat. And Eddie also alerted at the McCann's box of clothes.
Another aspect of the case that people have asked me to explain is Maddie's cuddle cat. Maddie's cuddle cat was a soft toy that was said to be Maddie's comfort, and she always carries it around. There has been a lot of controversy, and the cuddle cat is often brought into theories regarding Maddie, and I'm going to explain why now. So Kate McCann allegedly said that she knew that Maddie had been abducted when she returned to the apartment and found Maddie missing, but the cuddle cat still on the bed. She said the pink toy was Maddie's favourite and it was in her bed on the night of the disappearance. Kate recalled how she knew a crime had been committed when it appeared that cuddle cat had been taken from her daughter's arms. So the above image is 5A, the apartment where Maddie disappeared from shortly after her disappearance. People argue that this scene looks staged. They say that it's made to look like Maddie had been sleeping in the bed. They say due to where the blanket and the cuddle cat is located, they believe it's staged. If you just look, the cuddle cat is next to the pillow and then there's a pink blanket in front of it. Kate McCann lovingly carried this cuddle cat around with her at lots of press conferences after the months of Maddie's disappearance. Above from Kate McCann's diary is a quote from Thursday the 12th of July. Maddie went missing on May the 3rd, 2007. Today I washed the cuddle cat. I was hoping not to have to do it until Maddie returned, but it was now quite dirty and smelly. This was just 70 days after Maddie disappeared. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey, Kate confirmed these details, added that the cuddle cat was always being washed. So one reason that people found this suspicious was because the cuddle cat was washed, but the cuddle cat weren't washed until the 12th of July. People argued that this could possibly make forensic analysis more difficult. However, the sniffer dogs didn't attend the search of the apartment till after this date. They attended on the 2nd of August 2007. And what is said to have happened is that Eddie, one of the sniffer dogs, did alert to the cuddle cat, but Keela, the other dog, didn't alert to the cuddle cat, and the police left with evidence and they took the cuddle cat with them. Eddie alerted to the scent of cadaver and Keela alerted to the scent of blood. Also, people claim that in their personal opinion, they would never wash a soft toy if their child had been abducted or was missing, and that they would keep hold of it to have the smell of their child close to them. But it is right to say as well, everybody does grieve and react to trauma differently. This was just how Kate McCann chose to react